The near term, and I think this is a question Hadley has been raising, what is the price consumers in the West are willing to pay for the principle that you cannot invade a sovereign nation? You rip up the security architecture in Europe. I mean, in the near term, I think consumers simply have to prepare for higher prices, and there has to be that conversation with citizens. And frankly, as we think about an energy transition as well, an energy transition does not mean lower prices. And I think we have to have an honest conversation about what the cost environment is going to look like in a transition. Certainly, though, over the medium term, you can be thinking about what infrastructure do you need to build out and permit to get more cargoes on the water, over the medium term. And you have to come down with a view of what is the role of gas in this transition. We didn't know what Western governments thought about gas. They were very focused on renewables. Gas was still seen as a fossil fuel, one that you might have to sort of hold your nose and stomach. But now I think there is a realization that as we think about energy security and we think about balancing security and the needs of the transition, gas, it looks like it's going to play a central role. And if you believe that, then you need to invest. Then you need to build the infrastructure.
Yeah, and you've got to think about this. I mean, citizens and politicians having a real conversation and what that will actually look like. Because as you say, there is a price to pay for freedom. And to quote Ronald Reagan, when you think about this, it's not about, it's not a gift. You got to fight for it and you got to pay for it.
Right. I mean, you think about the 80s when, Ronald Reagan talked about Gdansk shipyard and talking about, the importance of solidarity movement. I mean, I think that is the kind of conversations that need to be had. If people believe this is important, if people believe this is a generational security crisis, then we need to think about what sacrifices people are willing to pay in defense of these values.
And would that potentially include things that the administration has been so anti, for example, the Keystone Pipeline, for example, giving more leeway to oil and gas companies to ramp up production in the United States?
I think the big issue is, I think it's going to be on permitting. And that's something we were hearing in Doha as well, is that there is a lot of red tape in the FERC process for permitting. And that can delay these projects. So one of the immediate asks is, can you help us streamline this approval process? And the issue of long-term contracts as well. I mean, if you want to basically get these projects developed and get these final investment decisions made, you need to have long-term contracts. So the question is Europe going to move to a long-term contract model and move away from the spot market?